And we're on. Hello, and welcome to podcast episode 99 of Robodope Boxing, where the two Daves are back once again on a Monday for all your weekly boxing needs. Normal T's and C's, guys. Like, share, subscribe, whether you listen to us via YouTube. Yep, Dave's doing the actions as per usual. On YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your boxing podcast content. Thank you, please. If you notice, if you're watching on YouTube, guys, it might be looking a little bit different. Not from my end. I look exactly the same, ugly as ever. But you can see, you can obviously see me with my microphone, with my headphones for the second week going. But Dave looks completely different. You can see much more of him. You can see he's got a different background. He's in different surroundings. Dave, how are you, brother? What's happening on this podcast this week with you?
Listen, the minute I see you with a microphone and headphones, I thought I'll go up my game here. I'll do it on my phone. I hold it like this for an hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes. And like I say, I get cramp in my hand. So I've got a new computer from work, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and it is actually that hand and all.
I'm actually doing the wankers cramp sign for anybody that's on audio listen.
So I thought I'd give it a crack on this. I did say last week that's what I'll do. So my son has got like a little computer set up as they do, to play the computer and all that. So I thought, right, I'll use this desk. And so this is now going to be the new setup. Background's a bit shit, but you can see the boxing news up there from 1960 something. It's Sugar Ray Robinson got beat by Notting Hill's Terry Downs, and it's signed by Terry Downs as well. So my father-in-law passed away recently. He gave that to Alfie as a gift. He knew Terry Downs, and got it signed by him. So I've got a boxing news from like 1970 or something. Let me get it. Hang on.
There we go, guys. A bit of a history lesson here on Robodope Boxing Podcast. Oh. You are going to have to bring that closer because I can't fucking see it from back there. I know my eyes are bad, but blimey. Oh, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. 1960.
It's the boxing news from 1962, September 14th, and it's signed to Terry, which was my father-in-law's name, obviously, from Terry Downs, and Terry Downs beat the late great legend Sugar Ray Robinson at Wembley. So a little bit of history there.
There you go.
So something different for the old podcast on a Monday night. So it's a bit of history.
Definitely, mate. Anything boxing related or anything, just anything to add to this podcast to make it better, it's always welcomed. But I was just going to say, you mentioned Wembley and you mentioned 1962. Obviously, England winning the World Cup at Wembley in 1966, and that seems like a lifetime ago. Well, it was, obviously, because we haven't won anything since. So that's a real bit of history you're holding in your hands there, mate. So yeah.
I've got an autobiography from Terry Downs as well, and it's signed by him as well. So I've got that. But you give Alfie this, bit of history there. The boxing news from 1962. Not many people would have that, and it's not in bad nick either. To be fair, for something as old as it is, like it's older than my mum. My mum was born in. Oh, actually, my mum was born in 1962. So there you go.
Just as old as mum, eh?
Old as mother.
How was your weekend, brother? All right.
Yeah, it weren't too bad. Obviously, it's a little bit sad in my household, but me and Stacey decided to go for a few sherbets down the local.
Nice.
I was saying to someone the other day. Obviously, when you go out on the piss on January, like people do hibernate. Like it's amazing because, like I say, Christmas party season in December and all that. January has been dead in my local, and then but obviously England were playing France, and she said, "Do you fancy going for a drink?" I went, "Yeah, all right, let's get down there for that." So I got down there. Honestly, it was fucking rammed, and it was jumping all night. They had a karaoke, a disco sort of thing going on. It ended up being a really good bloody night. I don't remember coming home, but they're always the best ones. So
yeah,
I got absolutely levered, but it was absolutely banging in the pub for the first time in it seems like 2 months. So
mate,
yeah,
I didn't realise dry. Now you're saying that, I didn't realise dry January was an actual thing. I thought that was an only thing for pussies.
Nice to think.
Yeah, I know.
Even the biggest alkies, mate, are at it in January. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
I'm absolutely telling you.
Apart from a friend of the podcast who's never listened to the podcast, Lee Harper, he's an exception, obviously, but yeah, man, I can't stop drinking. Like, as if I'm an alcoholic, but I can't. Weekends are different for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, working all week, you need that unwind. And I don't think I can unwind with, I don't know, a Coke or a lemonade.
No, I can't go in the pub sober with piss people.
No.
Like me fucking mental.
We're British, so we're a different breed, aren't we? So
we are that. I'll tell you.
Really are. Yeah. Well, I'll say that. Obviously, I had my fair share of alcohol last night. a few Guinnesses, went to watch, I won't even go into the football at the weekend. Both my kids' teams lost. This is coming a recurring theme on here. They must think your kids are crap at football. They're not, they're just in crap teams. And Stourbridge women, it looks like it's more or less over. Absolutely hammered by Stoke City on the weekend. Yeah. But my brother came up. It's nice to see him. Went out for a nice curry, a few beers. But because I didn't have any sleep and I was going on an all-dayer, if you like, not so much of a bender, but just non-stop drinking, I was maxed up on Red Bulls. So I was drinking soft drinks going into drinking alcohol. So I wasn't on them all day. But yeah, I was high as a kite, mate, on Red Bulls.
Was you on the vodka Red Bulls?
No, just straight. No, cool, blimey, not on the vodka Red Bulls. Not that time in the morning anyway. I had to football first.
Oh, yeah.
And then, back, quick shower and straight out again. But yeah, alcohol, curry, no sleep, and just shitloads of Red Bulls, mate. I think I'm immune to them anyway because I drink that many at work, mate. It's off a duck's back, really.
They're horrible things, they are, man. They'll fucking poison your insides, they will.
They do. They're addictive. All the bad things in life are addictive, aren't they?
That's
gambling,
true.
Smoking, drugs, anal sex.
God, you named everything I don't get.
Oops. Well, I didn't say I'll get it. Yeah. I just said they're bad for you. But yeah, should we talk a bit of boxing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's jump into the boxing for what it was worth at the weekend. So I'll put there, ladies and gentlemen, on the screen for those listening on audio. Is Derek really done? I'm talking about Derek Chisora, Saturday night at the Co-op Arena in Manchester. His 49th fight as a pro. Well, it was his 49th fight. If he's done or not, I'm not too sure. Me and Dave will speak about that in a minute. We'll quickly talk about the fight, going into the fight and things like that. 49th fight, Dave. He's had 36 wins, 13 losses, 23 KOs along the way. Those 13 stops, he's only been stopped. Well, those 13 losses, should I say, he's only been stopped 4 times. On Saturday night against Otto Wallin, he gave us blood, sweat, tears, guts, war, entertainment. At times, it was entertaining. A couple of knockdowns. It was just typical Derek Chisora, wasn't it? It was typical Derek Chisora. It wasn't the best. I said last week it was a bit of a left field fight. Nobody kind of saw this one coming. It was just a fight put on to say goodbye to Derek, which we thought was goodbye. Yes, we know he's going to have one more. He's always said that. But I'm not too sure that it stays at 50, if I'm perfectly honest. He's one of these guys that can't let go. But the actual fight itself, mate, unless you want to talk about Derek's career and things like that, I thought it was okay. I thought the fight was okay. There's a couple of, I think one of the scorecards was dreadful. I think he done more than enough to win. The knockdowns looked, I wouldn't say iffy. They were genuine knockdowns, but Otto Wallin was quite happy to go down. Questions need to be asked about him, if I'm totally honest. Not even the where did he go next. He just, to me, Dave, he looked like he just come to survive and get paid. He barely, don't get me wrong, Derek Chisora's face was marked up for the jab, but he offered fuck all. So he was sort of joining in the goodbye Derek Chisora party. But I don't want to poo-poo too much on the parade, mate. It was good for what it was. It looked like a sellout crowd. People do like to come and watch Del Boy. So all in all, it was a good send-off for what it's worth. And obviously we'll talk about that, as I just said. But the actual fight itself, mate, I'm going to give it an okay. So, yeah, what did you think, mate, about Saturday night?
I'm going to say there, see that banner you put up there, is Derek really done? It should be, is Otto Wallin really done? Now, you know, for me, Otto Wallin has dined off a Tyson Fury fight now for so long. Yes, he had a good win against Gassiev, and he was.
Can I just say, he's dined off a cut?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he really, and all of us, he's got fights off the back of that performance against a Fury that was ballooned up to 30 stone, was on the comeback trail, was looking for opponents. And for me, in his last few fights, he has offered absolutely nothing. We've always spoke about how much of a good boxer he can be. You know, he's a southpaw. You know, he had a bit of lateral movement. He could box. You know, and he could do a bit. But in his last couple of fights, he's just been standing there. A bit target practice for him. Like I say, in an ideal world, in a world that we lived in when he first popped on the scene, he dances around Derek Chisora. He really did. I don't know what's happened to him.
Yeah, he still can, I think. I think he's chose not to.
Yeah, I don't know whether the legs have gone from him. I don't know whether he can keep that up, because listen, Derek Chisora. Listen, it's a fun fight for him now. You know, it's a fun time. He has been good for the sport, and his resume. They've got to look at his resume of the people he's actually been in with. He's a credit. He's fought everyone.
Shame it's a losing resume, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But at least he's got, you know, he's got in there. He's fought absolutely everyone. And you know what? He's made a good career out of having like 10, 12 losses. He has
a lot of money as well.
Yeah. But you know what you can't take away from me. He never rolls over. Yes, he's been knocked out heavily a couple of times and whatnot, but he always comes and he always plods forward and he always tries and he always gives money worth. Fans, they get their money's worth when they go and see Derek Chisora.
Definitely.
But Otto Wallin, you look at Derek Chisora and you think, right, he's going to just swing looping overhands. Left.
You can read him. You can read him like a book, can't you?
Then Otto Wallin should have been so much more wiser to that. That's why I think he's shot to bits. And like I say, I was a little bit annoyed with him, to be honest. I know it was Derek's farewell, and it was a little bit like it should have. That was the script. But
to a T as well, Dave, because he got a knockdown in the last 10 seconds.
Yeah.
The only thing could have capped it if he was counted out. So it was. You were right. It looked like it was scripted.
Yeah. And like I said, but it didn't have to be that way. Derek Chisora is beatable. Like he is. Like I say, if you're going to, he's a tough man. But if you're going to stand there and not even try and move your head or show any sort of lateral movement and dodge any sort of, it's overhand looping right hands like that. They come over in fucking slow motion. But obviously, there's a lot of power to them. But like I said, so I was more annoyed. I was annoyed with Otto Wallin more than anything. Yesterday we all liked Derek Chisora, but he was just there to be tagged. And at this stage in Derek Chisora's career, he shouldn't be putting you on your ass twice in a fight and winning, really. And I don't want to take it like I say. I just think it's more Otto Wallin than it was Derek Chisora. Derek Chisora does what Derek Chisora always does. He fights that same way in every fight. He's got, he's slow, he's plodding, but he can whack. Don't get me wrong. But then Otto Wallin was there to be hit, and it pissed me off a little bit. I've got to admit, like Otto Wallin disappointment. I don't want to see him in with anyone now. Like when he first come in with AJ, and AJ was on the comeback trail, we were like, you know what, Otto Wallin is the right opponent for at the moment for him.
Yeah, major banana skin.
He's the potential banana skin. We were talking about him possibly winning.
I think everyone was, Dave. To be honest, a lot of people had it.
But
it's going to be a right.
Listen, as a fun fight, as a fan's favourite fight, and Derek Chisora, listen, he's had his moments. He's been controversial. He's done some horrible things, but. The British probably like him, and he did have a good send off. So fair play to him, and he got the result that he wanted, and and the way Otto Wallin performed, he deserved. So I don't know this. I don't want this to smoke screen people into, or especially Derek Chisora to think that it's Derek Chisora 8.0, because coming off you're looking at like Joe Joyce. Yeah. They're good names, and they're names enough to make him think like he may be carrying on thinking he's still got it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's a worrying thing, because you said there, he struggled to let go. It'd be like, with the wins. I mean, if he goes in with like he's being muted to be fighting, he put a thing out, didn't he, after saying who do you want me to fight next, and everyone cheered. Deontay Wilder, Dubois, and all that sort of stuff. See if he goes in with Wilder, and the way Wilder's gunshot at the minute. If Derek Chisora puts him on his ass and beats him, he would have beaten Joe Joyce, Otto Wallin, and fucking Wilder in his last 3 fights. That's the comeback, mate, for a fucking world title shot based on names.
And don't forget the former world champion. No, the current world champion, Kubrat Pulev.
Yeah, exactly.
The world champion. I know. It's a bit of a smoke screen, if you like, mate.
It is.
You don't want to see you be too negative on his final fight in the UK, but I don't believe it's his final fight at all, mate. It's obviously he was talking about AJ and Dubois and Usyk, looking at these big kind of posters that have been made in the ring, big entourage saying thank you and all that kind of jazz. He's not getting any of them. He's not getting AJ because he's his best mate. Dubois is nowhere near a world title shot, even though it was an IBF eliminator. I think me and you spoke about it last week. There's been social media posts, obviously. There's been radio stations. There's been other podcasts saying exactly the same thing. That's just a bullshit eliminator to get him 3%. Means nothing. He's nowhere near a world title shot. So he's not getting those kind of guys. But I do believe he'll go to Saudi or he'll go to Africa. He'll have an Ngannou fight or something like that. But he's talking about doing a stadium in London, Tottenham Stadium, fighting somebody else. So I don't believe, honestly, mate, I don't believe it stops at 50. I think he gets to 50 and he might say, well, Floyd stopped at 50. Do you know what? I'm going to just do one more than Floyd. And he'll get a credible win, a washed up credible win. And like he just said, he can't let go. He'll believe he's on an Indian summer at the age of 41, going into the age of 42. I've still got it. I can still live with the big boys. He's never been at the top end of the ladder. Let's not be silly about it. Every time he's stepped up to win a world title, he's lost. He's been a very good world level fighter, not world class, better than European.
Yeah,
he is. Yeah. Yeah,
But he's a
and he'll
hard
just
night
carry on.
for anyone, and he always will
Definitely.
be because he's tough as fuck. Like.
But again, just going back to the fight, you're right about Otto Wallin. All of a sudden, since the AJ fight, he's kind of happy just to stand in front of his opponent and watch a slow Derek Chisoras not just load up and sit down, but watch those looping left and right and come straight and hit him flush. You know, a tall guy like that with a longer reach, that's who was a good southpaw, kind of sees that coming, takes a step back, or fights at distance.
Yeah.
Because he did use that jab at times, and Derek Chisoras' face was marked up, and it weren't from right hooks or uppercuts or anything like that. It was pure spear or jabs.
Yeah.
So questions need to be asked about him.
It was an odd performance from him. That's why I was annoyed.
It was shit.
Yeah, I was annoyed for him for that because he's like I say. I look at him, I think you're better than that. You know, and I didn't have a dog in the fight either. But I was expecting a better performance from Wayne. And as boxing, boxing fundamentals and boxing IQ, Wally should win that fight. But like I say, he stood there and just got tagged with looping rights that were going at fucking 2 miles an hour.
Mate, there's only so long he's going to live off that Tyson Fury
He
cut.
can't live off it anymore, mate. No, he's not. For me, he's not a credible opponent for anyone now.
Yeah.
He really ain't. He's going into the Marius Wax sort of levels now for me. You know what I mean? You put, like I say, Moses Atum would go in there and absolutely fucking wipe him out in one round.
He would, yeah. You're right.
You know what I mean?
Just to finish off on Derek, I just mentioned there, I don't believe it's the end for him. I know we don't call for retirement on this podcast, but if number 50 is going to be the last one, and Africa is a destination for Turkey, I would like to see him go in with an Ngannou and earn his biggest payday ever, in the motherland, and then walk off into the sunset, because he's not finished with boxing. He wouldn't be finished with boxing. He's good with the media, even though he's an unpredictable character. People love, you just saw there, was it 15,000 sellout or whatnot? People do like seeing a controversial or even a sensible Derek Chisoras. He does get work now with the media. He's always going around with a microphone, and he could be involved in coaching and things like that. So he will be involved in boxing some way down the line. So my 2 questions are to you. Do you believe this is the last roll of the dice, number 50? And the second question, if it is, who would you like to see him in with next? With his last fight, mate?
I think all the time he's winning, I think he's going to carry on. I think it's going to take a I don't want to say a devastating defeat, but one to maybe shake him up a little bit, because the best fighters in the world on the run that he's on will be taking confidence from this. And
that'd be Moses Atuma. That'd be Moses Atuma to shake him up.
Yeah, I think that's when he'll realise that enough's enough. But he could go 52, 53 the way he's going at the minute. I mean, Dillian White, he's hanging around now. I know in the bit of the news we'll talk about in a minute, but he's kicking around again. He beats Joe Joyce in good fashion. They could be talking about again. They're already talking about a third fight anyway.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think it is. I'm with you. I don't really like the fact that he'd be in meaningful fights. So I think it's either a fun fight in Africa. It makes sense with being Ngannou. He's not going to. There's already muted that Joshua Bakoli are going to do something similar. So I don't think they're on the cards for Chisora. So yeah, I would say the. I mean, even Wilder go out there. I don't know. But I think it's going to take a devastating defeat for him to realise that is it. But who would I like to see him in next? Yeah, I'd say Ngannou. I think that's probably a fitting end, really. But Ngannou's got no lateral movement or any sort of.
No, but we go back to the fun element of it. An African legend in Ngannou, in the motherland. Del Boy's obviously from Zimbabwe, but he's kind of, we've adopted him as a Brit. So, and if it's co-main with AJ and Bakoli, it kind of fits the narrative. But all in all, it was, as I said from the start, he's had a good career. He's earned a lot of money. He's earned generational wealth. He's had title shots he probably shouldn't have had. He's never ducked anybody. He's fallen short a few times, but he's been, as I said, I don't want to keep repeating the same thing over and again. He's been good for British boxing. He's been good for boxing. And if he does leave, he's going to be missed. And I will miss the Hotel California ring walk entrance that he normally does. The only time I ever listen to that song is when Del Boy's making his run. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does next. So good luck, Del Boy, into the future. Just sticking with this card, guys. I know we only had 3 predictions or previews, if you like, last week, but there was a couple of fights on here I want to briefly speak about. I want to talk about Nathan Heaney briefly, Dave. Shocked, disappointed, confused, or should I be? And I want to give an apology to his opponent, Sophie Catty. Was the opponent French guy, ex-French? He was a French world champion. He was a French champion, domestic champion, should I say? I poo-pooed him on this card last week. Literally, I called him a bum. But I wasn't the only one. You have a look at the odds at the bookies. I do mention other podcasts and social media outlets. They kind of had the same. I mean, Dave didn't say I called him a bum. They had the same sort of attitude as I did. This was a comeback fight for Nathan Heaney to box a half decent international fighter, look good, and if the opportunity arises, go for the knockout, get the knockout, and kind of rebuild again. I was just stunned how rubbish he was, and I hate to say that because he's one of the Mr. Nice guys of boxing. Keeps himself in shape. Probably was an achievement for him, or achievement for him to win the British title. So, but I was just disappointed how poorly he boxed. He done okay for the first 2 rounds, and then Catty got into a rhythm, started boxing himself better than anybody ever predicted he would do. Hurt Nathan Heaney, Dave, didn't recover, and the stoppage was worthy. I thought Nathan Heaney looked like a complete novice, clueless. Just before you come in, mate, I just can't believe the Nathan of Heaney who saw Saturday to the Nathan Heaney that won the British title and absolutely bamboozled, as we've said many times on here, Denzel Bentley. How have we gone from that Nathan Heaney within a year and a half to what we saw on Saturday? It looked and with its social media post yesterday, mate, it looks like it could be coming to the end based on that now. I don't know. Yeah, what did you think? I
think he grew old overnight. You see it in the ring there. The fundamentals, the things that he was good at, the like you said, they're bamboozled. And I found him to have a weird style, and I mentioned that when we spoke about him before.
Haven't seen it since,
and it's not been there since. And for me, not only did he grow old overnight, I think his punch resistance has vacated him as well.
That was it. That was it as well. That's what a lot of people were saying, because this guy's record didn't really stack up, and he's not known as a puncher. He didn't have many. I think he only had a couple of. What did he have on his? Yeah, I've written it down here, guys. So he was 17-5 with 6 KOs. So without even going back and watching any footage, you just we all do it. We have he hasn't got many knockouts, so we regard him as a boxer rather than a puncher. I mean, gone in there on Saturday night, and he's not. But there again, he may be, Dave. You just nailed it. His punch resistance seemed to go, because he didn't look like he was getting hit that hard, and all of a sudden, he'd gone.
Even the jab seemed to affect him. Knocking him back a little bit, and he just seemed to be on unsteady legs. And I say, when you listen to fighters, Sonny Edwards being one. I'm not saying that maybe he doesn't want it no more, but maybe he realised in the fight that he just doesn't have it no more. He's 35 years old. He won the British title pretty late. You know what I mean? So his window of success is maybe found out. I mean, a lot of fighters retire at 35. Don't go much on beyond that. And he was on a sort of a crest of a wave, like 33, 32 years old. But I think during the fight there, every sort of punch seemed to affect him. Like you're right there, he did start very well in the first couple of rounds. He was on his boxing, but he still was in straight lines. And I'll tell you another thing as well.
Low guard
with his chin in the air.
Yeah,
exactly. He was throwing shots with his chin in the jet. He was jabbing like that, and he was reaching. What was his name? His opponent's name again? It was
Catty. Yeah, Catty.
Well, Catty. He was very compact, hands up, and just the fundamentals straight down the pipe. And
it became easy for him, didn't it?
It did, and he didn't have to do a lot, because the good things that Nathan Heaney was doing in previous fights, being elusive, and making his opponent have to think. He didn't have to do that, because he was standing square in front of him with his chin in the air. And like I say, even the jabs, you could see his legs sort of going. And you're right, but the referee gave him a lot of help. His gum shield come out for the knockdown towards the stoppage there, and he was telling him to put his gloves up, and he was sort of falling into the ref, and the ref called time. The referee gave him every chance. And you can see even the opponent going, like, trying to tell him to stop it, like. And then he tried to swing. He tried to throw a few swings, but he was on the ropes getting bludgeoned, and the stoppage was correct. But back to what I said at the start, mate. I feel like he grew old overnight. And it's an unforgiving sport when you're in there and your brain's telling you can do it, and then all of a sudden your body's not doing the same. So it's a shame, really. And I saw his tweet that he put out the next day, thanking Queensbury and and it looked like a retirement speech. Yeah, it really did. But I say he had a good fan base. British title, mate,
massive.
It's nothing to be sniffed at, mate. Like I say, that's an achievement in itself. People should be happy with that with his career. He should be happy with his career. Again, we don't call for people to retire on here, but it looked like he's done it himself. But he's had a fantastic career, mate. The career people can dream of. The British title is amazing.
Not everybody gets to win that Lonsdale belt.
Yeah.
So
good luck to him. Whatever he does next, if it is retirement, then I wish him the best. But it was a bad defeat, really, in the end for Nathan Heaney.
Yeah. That's 2 retirements we've just spoke about already. Two retirements, 2 fights.
It's a bit glum today.
I know. I'm not calling for any. Well, I don't call for any retirements, but I'm not even suggesting retirement for Zach Parker. He's still young enough to do something in the sport. But I've got to be honest. He's lucky Willie Hutchinson was injured, in my opinion, on Saturday night, because Willie Hutchinson beats that version of Zach Parker with one arm. Since that guy. I don't know what you think, though. And you're saying yes, you're probably in my camp, same camp as me. Since that John Ryder loss a few years ago, he's gone backwards, in my opinion, Zach Parker, because the opponents have been not up to the standard of John Ryder.
Yeah.
So he's fighting opponents that are domestic level. I think a couple of them probably B or C level. He's got the wins, but he hasn't looked good doing them. Those talks of Frank, those sound bites from Frank Warren pre John Ryder, he's the future of the super middleweight division. This guy is big, strong. He's only getting better. We're talking about mandatories for Canelo and things like that. Forget it. He got the win on Saturday night, but it was poor. He was out of ideas. It was a lot of holding. I think the referee, not so much the referee, the judges kind of, I wouldn't say gave him the win, but there's an argument there that it could have been a draw or he could have lost it. I just thought it was a poor performance from Zach Parker, and I'm really disappointed that he's not now in his 4th fight since the John Ryder loss, that he's not kind of kicking on. You look at the resume, you look at the wins, and say, "What, Dave? What are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about." He's got 4 wins on the trot. Yes, he has, but that level of opponent and the performances he's putting in aren't enough to warrant him going and winning a British super middleweight title, let alone stop getting European and going fringe world level. He just doesn't look that guy anymore, Dave. And again, it's very morbid today on today's podcast, but he disappointed me. He's lacking something, whether it's confidence, whether he wants to be there anymore, whether he's got things going on outside. Don't get me wrong, he's a big lad. He looks super fit and healthy. He looks a body Adonis, but there's something that's not clicking with him, and it's not a good watch. I've got to be totally honest.
We've got this little thing now where we're talking about putting glass eyes to sleep, and this fight was definitely up there, mate. I couldn't get on with it at all. I mean, I don't want to make excuses for him because it was just a poor performance, but he's a big lad for that weight. He looks, again, his opponent, he seemed massive to him. But it was, I don't know whether, again, I feel like I'm making excuses for him, and I don't know why I should. It was just an awful performance. I said there was no spark there. They don't seem to be any sort of grit or determination. It just seems to be running the mill, and it's just boom, boom. And he's making it hard for himself. Now, did the fight falling through with Willie Hutchinson, did that play a factor where you're thinking, oh God, he can't get up for it? Well, you see a better performance with a better opponent. I'm hoping so.
This was a late replacement as well.
Yeah, exactly. Then after Willie Hutchinson withdrew, did that knock stuff it out of him, and he's just maybe that's what it is. Maybe he needs opponent to get up. I don't know, but he's there's not going to be many opponents that he's going to get based on performances like this. Yes, you're right. The wins, you look on the resume, you go on Box Rec, and he's got 4 wins, and it looks wins are wins. But it's the manner of these wins, and it's the manner of the performances. And we talk about Jack Catterall every week about selling himself and that. Like, if Zach Parker, no one's really shouting his name from the top of the trees. Like,
not anymore.
So he needs to have performances that speak volumes for him. And
he's becoming forgotten, Dave. He's becoming a British prospect that's being forgotten, and performances like that is why.
Yeah, exactly that. When you're on a platform like TNT or these sort of, like, even Channel 5. Channel 5, is terrestrial TV, so it gets good numbers. you're in the shop window there.
It's on telly.
You really are. And you know, it's an opportunity when you have a performance like what Zach Parker's had there. It's an opportunity missed. You know, to put on a good show. Listen, if you feel like you're bigger than that opponent, you're better than him, he doesn't deserve to be in the ring, then prove it and dispatch him like, you know, Jaya Bhatia would. Jaya Bhatia gets criticised for some of the opponents he goes in there, but he deals with them in devastating fashion within 1 or 2 rounds. He takes care of them as you should and walks away. And that's why everyone's waxes lyrical. So when you know, okay, it's a late replacement, you might be down in the dumps. I don't even know if he was. It might just be a bad performance. But go in there and do your job and wipe them out and walk out. You know, you've said it a few times. You don't get paid for overtime. So if this guy is not at your level or whatnot, deal with him and then leave. And you know, and do viral moments. Social media is a massive thing. You know, make yourself viral. Do something. Put yourself in the shop and then start screaming some names. He can't have a performance like that and scream out a credible name. Not after a performance like that. So I'm disappointed in him, mate. I really am. I was one of them ones where you're picking up your phone, you're going to make a tea, and that's how I felt about it. I didn't, you know, it was just nothing. It was just something to put on the card. I thought it was poor. If I'm Frank Warren, I'm having something to say about that.
Yeah, I didn't see all the early prelims and things like that. I watched the back end of the fights, and Zach Parker was on it, and it was probably the worst. It was the worst one of the card. I got to be honest, but he still wants the Willie Atchison fight. But you get that fight, mate, you've got to be on your A game because he'll take you to school and he'll probably stop you.
Yeah.
I know, but yeah, hopefully we see a better version of Zach Parker next time he's out on one of the shows, whether that be a Frank Warren show or whoever. But yeah, must do better. We go back to Friday night. Shakan Pitters. Yeah. I've put there on the banner. Shakan Pitters made to wait. So what I mean by that is the European belt wasn't up for grabs in the end. It was supposed to be. He was supposed to be fighting Daniel Dos Santos. Obviously, he had his medical. We said last week that he had something wrong with his brain, so he wasn't licensed or sanctioned. He wasn't medically fit to fight, basically. So he got Shakan Pitters obviously training to fight Dos Santos. He got a late replacement in Lee Inglrest. Unfortunately, Lee Inglrest couldn't fight Shakan Pitters in the same week because apparently the EBU wouldn't allow Inglrest to weigh in via Zoom. He wasn't in the country, so he wasn't allowed to make weight that way, which was a bit odd, but obviously rules are rules. So in the end, he had to fight another late replacement on the day. His opponent was an Iranian guy called Bahadur Karami with a record of 4-23-4. Fair fucks him to stepping in on the day of the bloody fight. We spoke the other week about Anaya Nue and that 2 weeks late notice. This guy's coming here in more or less 1 or 2 days' notice, you know, getting a pittance, just keeping active, and nobody's putting their hand up to fight a Nue on 2 weeks' notice, their biggest payday and 5 belts. However, I don't want to go too much into that. That was more of a cherry pick because not all those contenders for fucking made the phone call. I know that. I don't know that for a fact, but that's the way it looks. Anyway, let's talk more about Shakan Pitters. Kind of felt sorry for him, Dave. You know, he'd been training for a European title fight. His dad had passed away, so there was a lot of emotions going around. I think the commentators on that GMB show said he'd lost his sister, I think, previous to that as well. So he's having a bit of a hard time at the moment. So he got in with this guy. He done exactly what he was supposed to do. Even though we said last week he's not much of a puncher, which he's not. He's more of a boxer. He's so tall, long and rangy. Kind of sometimes he doesn't use his attributes as he's supposed to. He likes to fight inside. But once he hurt his opponent, mate, that kind of emotion came out, and he smelt blood and went for the kill and blasted him out in 2 rounds. But yeah, glad he got to fight in the end. It wasn't the fight he wanted, but his promotional team in GMB and Izzy Aziz said they're going to do all they can now to get that European title shot back for him, which would be good for him. But apart from that, it's a star for the cannon fodder that was put in front of him, mate.
Yeah, listen, they were a class apart, and it was you know, fair. It's unlucky that his opponents that he was originally meant to couldn't get, and you know, fair, like you said, fair play to the guy coming in, and it ended up just being run of the mill, you know, shot selection, you know, and it looked like, you know, Shakan Pitters looked very good. You know, he got to get a couple of rounds in and looked good doing it for, you know, like some lovely uppercuts, some eye-catching shots.
Yeah,
the opponent was there to be hit. wasn't much coming back from him, and he did what he was supposed to do. But you know, at least he got some sort of payday. I don't know how much it would, obviously we don't know how much it would be, but at least he got a run out, as you would call it, and And he looked good doing it against an opponent that wasn't really on his level. It's not his fault, but he looked good doing it, and he should get his shot. You know, I hope that's it. That, you know, he doesn't have to wait too long, and he gets it on his next fight. Yeah. Again, we knew that he was a good boxer, and he showed that. But the guy didn't offer a lot. He stepped in late notice, and it was one of them. So
just imagine you're training for one guy in what he had 8 to 10 week camp or whatever it was, and all of a sudden you've got to kind of try and change your style for another guy if you could be bothered, and then he's got to change it on the last day for another guy, or not so much change his style, but you know, have a brief look if you can. It's a tough business, you know. But he's 35 now, mate, Pitters, and I said last week with what we saw of Dan Aziz last time out against Louis Edmondson, there's kind of lackluster of his attitude was like, I've done the whole southern area, you know, English, Commonwealth, British, European. I'd like to see Dan Aziz get back in the ring with Shakan Pitters. They're both the same age now. They're both never going to win a world title, even though I'm a huge Dan Aziz fan. I think that is his level, European. I'd like to see him roll it back again. Dan Aziz got one over him a few years ago. Let's roll it back again. If the EBU can't get Daniel Dos Santos fit and ready, well, not so much then, but, you know, his medical problems and whatnot. Dan Aziz, that was his old belt. Why not roll it back again? Izzy Aziz here at G. This was a good card, you know, on Friday. I was impressed with the level of fights that was on this GBM card. Taz Nadeem was back out. I mentioned him on the first ever show that they've done last year. He's had 4 fights now under this GBM card. Yes, they're probably not getting paid, weighed in, you know, crazy money. I mean, you wouldn't expect them to. This is early days for him. But he's keeping his fighters active. He's got some fighters on there that are producing highlight reel moments, viral moments, if you like. The names are getting around for boxing fans. The crowds are half decent, so tickets must be cheap. He's got Adam Smith and Dave Caldwell on comms. He's got Nick Pete doing the bloody on the microphone as well. He's invested a lot in these shows, and he's putting on some good fights. I'm really impressed. And I said last week, you know, Ben Shalom and Boxer. There's like rumors that it could be splitting with Sky once the contract comes to an end. So there might be a sort of a gateway path for GBM to get in there. No, man, stay with DAZN. DAZN's the home of boxing now. You're already on DAZN. You can grow. Friday night GBM shows on a Friday night. I'm well up for them. Yeah, better than the Channel 5 ones, mate.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I heard them rumors about Ben Shalom. Yeah, it's not looking great for if you're listening to the rumors. But no, like you're saying, they are putting on good fights in the GBM, and like
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that fight on Friday, mate. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, they are. They're putting on shows. So there could be a little slot for me and you on there. Like if you're getting Nick Pete and that on there, you know what I mean. They had to start somewhere, probably like what we have. So you never know. We advocate for GBM, mate. We could do a little like midweek news show for them or something. David McDonald and the Dongs. Bosh.
Definitely. You're right. Got to start somewhere. But yeah, fair play to him, because it's only really, isn't it? Eddie, Frank, and Ben is the new one on the scene. Izzy was an ex-boxer himself, but he's putting capital into this, and he's trying to really make a go of it. And now people are talking about GBM. Well, we're a boxing podcast. We're talking about him, and I've seen other people talking about him. People are tweeting about him. People are mentioning about him. He's getting title fights on his shows now. You know, he's getting the likes of Huey Fury and Shakan Pitters, Shaquille Thompson, who was supposed to fight in Yanni Beck. He was on the main event in the end on this card, doing what he's got to do. Fair fucks to him, man. You've got to start somewhere, as you say. Like, obviously, you're talking about me and you, kind of, you know, tongue in cheek. But yeah, fair play to Izzy Aziz and the boys. Really, really good card. Definitely. And I think he's got a few planned as well. I think he's got another one planned in Sheffield, one planned in London. I think he's looking to go international. So, more boxing the better, man.
Consistency is the key, mate. It's just got to stick at it. Yeah.
Definitely. But just quickly on that one, Dan Aziz against Shakan Pitters, mate. You up for that one?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Dan Aziz needs the performance. He hasn't been great in his last few fights.
Especially the last one.
I think not the stuff out of him. Not the stuff out of him.
Yeah. Talking about knocking the stuffing out of someone, this to me is the shock of the weekend. It really was. I couldn't believe what I was watching on Saturday night, early hours Sunday morning. San Antonio, Texas, Pro Box card, the American version of GBM. This is they put some brilliant cards on these, dude. Fair fucks to them. They've got a lot of ex-PBC fighters. They're on free to watch on YouTube. Decent crowd. You've got Paulie Malignaggi, Chris Algieri, Juan Manuel Marquez. All those guys are putting there. I don't know if it's Roy Jones or Sean Porter. I think one of those guys have put their capital into it as well. But so X amount of ex-boxers, good shows. But this wasn't the main event, but it was Shavkat Rakhimov. We didn't see him against Sugar Nunes. He was knocked out by Sugar Nunes last year. It was unless you're Russian based or something, I don't think many people got to see it. It's not on BoxRec. And the previous fight was against Joe Cordina, a split decision, one of the fights of the year. So he'd been out for more or less a year, Shavkat, ex-world champion down at super featherweight, got back into the ring. Again, heavy favourite going in against Justin Poldo. Nobody really knew too much about him, especially UK-based fans anyway. I can't speak for the Americans. There's obviously a lot of domestic fighters from the UK that we know and they don't. But he had a similar or same record as Rakhimov. We made our predictions last week. Down at super featherweight, he was a champion. He belonged at the top table. He's had a couple of hard fights. Struggled to make weight on the Friday night going into this. Is very tight at the weight. He's up at lightweight now. And I couldn't believe what I was watching. I thought he would. I thought he'd be too fast. Too clued up. His ring IQ, his generalship would start to shine against Poldo. But from the first round, Dave, he was knocked to the floor. He was outboxed. He was outfought. He was beat up for 8 rounds, and he was brutally stopped. He was heavily stopped. Mm. And the most worrying thing was he ended up going out on a stretcher. And this gave me flashbacks of fucking Anaguchi.
Yeah, he was down for quite a while, wasn't he?
He was up and he was down, and he was up and he was down. He was gone. And he was getting battered. He was getting battered. I can't comment on the Sugar Nunes fight because I didn't see it. But if you go and read the reports, and obviously he was stopped, he was knocked out, etc. You kind of expect that from that level of opponent. But I didn't see the rounds previous to it. This one, he lost every round. He didn't just lose. He was getting outboxed and beat up and bullied. He was so easy to hit. What the fuck's happened to him? We just spoke about Zach Parker. We spoke about Nathan Heaney, Otto Wallin for what it's worth, and now Shavkat. This is the weekend of disappointments, confusions, upsets. Mate, what did you make of it? I was more worried about his health more than anything.
Yeah, well, I say he's a come-forward fighter, is Shavkat. But I think that the game plan for Polden, is it Polden?
Justin Poldo.
Yeah, Poldo, sorry. Justin Poldo was spot on. He waited for him he countered him on every single attack.
Too easy, no?
He made it look so easy. And Shavkat ran out of ideas. And all he did was just keep trying to go forward. And in that, he was getting caught on the way in. And he just couldn't. And he had a disaster of a first round that I don't think he really recovered from.
No.
And that was sort of the writing on the wall when it came to the fight. But is there question marks into his corner and all that as to why it went
They should have pulled him out a lot earlier. They should have pulled him out.
I was thinking the same thing. And hopefully, I've not heard anything, but hopefully he's okay. But I think his corner, even the referee, he didn't win a round for me. He fell into the same traps. Of getting caught on the way in, and he was taking some heavy fire. Some of them shots were spiteful, and he just didn't seem to be able to defend them. I think it all stems from the first round knockdown. Like I say, so probably too brave for his own good, got up, but he didn't. For me, he didn't recover. He never did. And
it's a little bit like the Nathan Heaney fight we just spoke about, Dave. Sorry to interrupt, but the Nathan Heaney fight, you talk about the punch resistance. Looks like it's gone.
Yeah, it was. It does.
He was getting wobbled off a jab.
Yeah, he was. And like I say, and he doesn't know how to fight any other way other than to go forward. So he can't soak up pressure, slip slide. You know what I mean, and take some rounds off. And try and get his head back into it. He goes forward, and in that he was getting picked off, man. And some of the shots, it was cringe. Like you think, oh, but yeah, that's again, he's getting taken out on a stretcher. Where do you want to see him back in the ring again after a defeat like that? This is the sort of week for questioning these type of things at the minute. For what way we're going, but like I say, the game plan from Polton. The game plan was spot on. He just seemed to have an answer to absolutely everything. And I say he had the dream start as well. So it was a bad one, man. It was a bad one. I hope he's okay, man, because like I say, you don't like to see him coming out, going and getting stretchered out the ring like.
Yeah, he's he's definitely announced himself now to the 135-pound division, Poldo, because that to have a performance like that and to have a name like that on your resume as well, it's fair play to him. Fair play to Poldo, because he's shocked a lot of people. Again, it was another kind of, well, this is a half credible opponent for Shavkat coming up to a new weight. Should be easy enough to showcase him, and then we start talking about getting up with the big boys. But obviously the big boys in this division are Tank Davis, the Shakur, the Zapidas, the Keyshawns, Pitbull Cruises. He's nowhere near that based on that. But obviously the main priority is make sure he's well, he's fit, he's healthy. Haven't heard any reports. Last time we saw him was going off in a stretcher, so it doesn't look good. So he's got to have a major rethink, mate. If he's struggling to make weight as well in a new weight division, he's going to have to rethink. Does he want to rebuild, or does he want to call it a day? Again, he's only 30, and we're talking about retirement. When your punch resistance gone as bad as that, when you're getting fucking wobbled off a jab, Dave.
That defeat there, that's put miles on the clock if they wasn't already there, mate. That it was a hefty defeat, mate. It really, really was. And it was sad to see as well, but
very sad. But on a positive note, or is it a positive note? I don't know. We're very morbid today. Justin Poldo is going to be turned into, based on that performance, he's going to turn into a fighter now at 135 pounds for guys trying to get up the rankings, because this guy's not even ranked. So when the rankings come around in March, he'll definitely be ranked based on that. That's a fact.
That's it.
No one's going to want to touch him. Yeah, but no one's going to want to touch him. That's high risk, low reward.
Yeah.
So I was like having a look at the rankings. Who could he go in with next? Being sensible, take away the top boys. I was thinking like somebody like a Joe Cordina. It makes perfect sense. Cordina had a split decision win against Rakhimov, went life and death with him, and this guy's destroyed him in 8 rounds. Literally destroyed him. So if he can do that to Rakhimov, what can he do to Cordina? But I couldn't see Cordina taking this fucking dangerous fight. So I'd like to see a bit more of Poldo now. He's impressed me. He looked very, very good. But was that a bad version of Shavkat? I don't want to take anything away from Poldo, because he was fucking 5-star.
It's a difficult one. I just think he had a disastrous first round, and then if you start a fight like that and you don't recover, it's a long way back. And I just don't think he found a way back. And obviously he didn't. He got stopped. But I think the disastrous first round done it for him, man.
Yeah, let's hopefully we hear some positive news coming out of Team Rakhimov coming soon. We wish him all the best, good health, and hope he's fit and healthy, mate. So that's quite a depressing review of the weekend's boxing. A bit odd. We've given our reasons why, but
we just say it as we see it, mate, and that's what it was.
Yeah.
The news is not going to be much better, so it's going to probably be a dreary one.
Give us your performance of the week before we jump into David McDonald and his dongs.
I don't know whether it's Chisora.
It's got to be Poldo for me.
Oh, Poldo, yeah.
By
absolutely.
We only done 3, didn't we? Bar Zach Parker and Nathan Heaney. So obviously Nathan Heaney's opponent I'm going Poldo because I kind of poo-poo both of them. I poo-pooed Heaney's opponent, not so much Poldo, but I'd thought Shavkat would be far too good for him. But the manner how he just, beat him up and stopped him.
I think Poldo, purely, it was doing 2 good wins for the both guys, but I feel like the performance was better from Poldo. I think his tactics were very, very good. He worked on this game plan. He knew what he was putting in front of him, and he executed it. So
against that level of opponent as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I would go with Poldo. Yeah.
Nice one. Right, come on in. A bit more depressing news in David McDonald and his dongs.
So it's David McDonald and the dongs, and I'm not going black today.
Oh.
Because I'm on a different setup now. So the sad news is that the passing of Irish featherweight John Cooney following injuries sustained in the bout on February 1st. I think he went into a coma and didn't recover. It's the sad part of the sport, and that when you're talking about Rakhimov being stretched out, it's a worrying thing. When that's why corners and referees they need to be on their A game, mate, because it can happen. So our deepest sympathies go to John Cooney's family at this time, because it's awful news for boxing.
Yeah, you're right, mate. All you can do is pass on your condolences and to his family and friends, etc. It's something you don't want to see. but it's obviously it is. No matter how you try and jazz it up, it's a barbaric sport. It's constant punches to the head and body. You know, we've got body parts on the side that's not made to be treated like a punch bag. No. You know, it's unlucky for some that it ends in death, like it has with the Irish lad. So yeah, it's very sad. Hopefully we don't see any more this year or ever again. But it's not the first time, and obviously it won't be the last time. So yeah, but keep up the morbidness on today's pod, Dave, please.
Well, yeah, the more morbid news announced: Canelo Alvarez will face William Skull.
Yay! There's a bit of positive news, even though it's not the fight probably people want. Fucking better than that shit we were getting previous, Jake Paul, which you spoke about. Thank God, thank God for Uncle Turkey.
Yeah, so this is for the undisputed WBA, WBC, IBF, WBO super middleweight world titles on May 3rd in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. This is the first of Canelo's 4-fight deal with Turkey Al Sheikh and Riyadh season.
Yeah. So we've got a bit of positive news. It's a bit weird, isn't it? So Canelo was stripped of the IBF because he couldn't defend it or wouldn't defend it. It was William Skull was the #1 contender against Shishkin in a rubbish fight over in Germany. William Skull won Canelo's belt, so he's going back in with Canelo. So Canelo can beat him, and he'll be 2-time undisputed at 168. That's literally what it is. But he's going in against a proper boxer, and there's more jeopardy here against Skull than there is against Jake Paul. But after the Uncle Turkey, we spoke about it on last week's show. And then the following day, Uncle Turkey comes out with a statement that he's put all that nonsense to bed. Jake Paul's come out with some contract which looks genuine, like they were going to fight. Canelo's got a 4-fight deal, even more money than he's ever needed in his life. Uncle Turkey's got Canelo on his books. When Canelo said months ago, Dave, he doesn't need Uncle Turkey. He dances to his own tune. So he's in bed with Turkey as well. Yes, getting well paid, but he's given in and gone on the Turkey card. So boxing fans are happy to an extent. Looks like we're getting a Terence Crawford fight in September. You're going to get Mexicans going over to Riyadh. All eyes on the kingdom. Everyone's happy. Everyone's happy now. We had a little bit of a heart scare with Jake Paul coming into boxing. Looked like he was going to be fighting for possibly belts or God knows what. But Uncle Turkey to the rescue. He is the face of boxing, mate. I don't care what anyone says. Forget your Furies. Forget your AJs. Forget your Canelos. Uncle Turkey is the face of boxing. He makes everything happen. And he's done it. He saved boxing. Literally saved boxing, hasn't he? By what he's doing. Four-fight deal. He's putting an undisputed fight on for what it's worth first. He's getting another one with Terence Crawford in September. Can I just quickly add a caveat to that? Canelo Crawford is supposed to be in September. Did you see yesterday what Crawford's walking around at?
Yeah, that was my next piece of news.
Go into it.
So Terence Crawford posted his weight on Instagram. So he's walking around at 186 pounds.
186, yeah.
Yeah, so he's put that out there for all the people, including me, because I'm a big man that says it. That I think the 2 jumps up in weight is, will be a factor. But he's walking around at nearly a cruiserweight. Cruiserweight's 200 pounds, isn't it?
Yeah. He's doing it. But have you seen him? Have you seen him with his top off? There's a fucking game plan there, mate. Because he's not putting it on silly. He's got more or less. He's having more or less over a year since his last fight. So he's putting that muscle mass on gradually.
Yeah.
Yes, he's probably not going to have a fight in between, but he's going to be coming in at what? He's going to be coming in at what? 175, I reckon, on fight night. Not too far off Canelo. He's taller than Canelo, and by September, I think we're going to. Hopefully, the muscle mass doesn't slow him down. Hopefully, that 2-weight jump doesn't slow him down. Because if it doesn't, Canelo's in trouble. I don't mean he's going to stop Canelo, but he could put on a fucking clinic. There's a game plan there with the weight. I'm excited. I'm excited because he doesn't look like he's walking around at cruiserweight, but he is. Factually, he is, and he doesn't look out. He looks good.
Yeah, that's the only worry. The only worry is when it's artificial weight that they're putting on, and the thing is,
doing it gradual.
He hasn't, but he has never fought at that weight. I would I've said it before. I would like him to have one before, but I don't think he's gonna.
No, there's a game plan there, mate.
It is all now brewing.
They'll have all types of nutritionists involved. They'll have scientists involved. They'll have all sorts of game plans and trajectories that will tell him how to put weight on, how to put muscle mass on the proper way. There'll be machines he'll be using. They'll be doing stuff behind the scenes nobody will know about.
Yeah,
I think Team Crawford are too clever to just walk in blindsided, to go in there, put on weight unnatural, and just hope for the best. There's a game plan there. This is why I believe he's not having one in between. just possibly not to jeopardize or lose, going into the Canelo fight. I think he's trying to do everything perfect, pinpoint going into that fight in September. Yeah. So I'm on board now. I'm on board. I like that. I like it because he doesn't look fat.
No.
Sometimes people look out of shape. You look at Lawrence Okoli today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he's a heavyweight and he's an unlimited weight, but he doesn't. He looks complete. Okoli now looks fat, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got belly on him. He's got gut.
Yeah, he's got fat. Yeah.
That's what I was talking about, artificial weight. That's what that is.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Crawford putting on 2.5 stone or whatever. Do you think there might be a bit of flab there? But you might be a tiny sign of a bit of a love handle. You think the face might look a bit puffy? Not yet.
Yeah.
And he's walking around nearly at cruiserweight. Not yet.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, I'm positive now. I've got a smile on my face because Terence Crawford's a big cruiserweight or a little cruiserweight, if you like.
Well, this might bring you crashing down with quickly, even though we spoke a little bit, touched on it earlier. Announced Dillian Whyte will face Joe Joyce in a heavyweight clash on April 5th, which is Loda's birthday, in Manchester. Lawrence Okoli versus Richard Riakporhe and David Adelaide versus Jamie TKV is also on the card. Can you get up for a Dillian Whyte Joe Joyce fight?
Slugfest, isn't it?
Yeah.
But by the way, Dillian Whyte, is he clear to fight in the UK now? I mean, there's no statements.
Who was it? I heard he's fighting. He ain't fighting on a British license, though, is he? He's got a different. I believe he's got a different license, but.
So he'll have an international license. You just need to be ticked off by the British Board of Boxing. Yeah.
Tyson Fury doesn't have the British Board of Control license.
Yeah, you don't need one, do you? So
you don't need one. So I think they've gone down that route. But
Conor Benn hasn't got one, and doesn't look like he's going to apply for one either. So
no. But Dillian Whyte, Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce worries me. For me, he's taken too many shots.
And Dillian Whyte looks shit against Tete. Let's be totally honest.
Exactly. This has got the potential to be an absolute stinker. And then you've got Jamie TKV on the card.
I think we spoke earlier, didn't we? I sent you the picture of it, the poster, and you said David Adelaide will stop it. I think you're right. Unless TKV holds him all night, I think David Adelaide will take care of him easy. Yeah.
Lawrence Okoli and Richard Riakporhe. I think they had a press conference today. There was a bit of beef today. I think the build-up for that would probably be better than the fight.
Well, they were supposed to fight at Cruiser, weren't they? It was interesting to see. Well, I had to laugh because Richard Riakporhe said he didn't like to be disrespected going into that because they kicked off, didn't they, at the cinema? There was some awards night back last year and it kicked off between the two.
It was at the Creed premiere.
The Creed premiere, that was it, and it kicked off. And Lawrence Okoli basically said, I didn't disrespect him. I just said Madonna's too old. And the look on Richard Riakporhe's face, he didn't know what to say. So we're guessing he was seeing Madonna at the time. Yeah. Maybe he still is. We've referenced this before, but to be honest, mate, going into that fight, Lawrence Okoli is now up at heavyweight. He's massive. He should have transitioned to heavyweight ages ago. He's a former world champion at cruiserweight. Yes, he does like to hold a lot. He's been a bit of a bore fest.
He's a double world champion, mate. Bridgerweight.
Sorry, yeah, he's correct me. He's a Bridgerweight world champion as well. Yes, but on a serious, the two opponents he's had, the Polish guy and the guy last time out, not credible opponents. But under Joe Gallagher now, the tutelage of Gallagher, you're seeing Lawrence Okoli step forward and throw, and he can bang. And we saw, both these guys have lost to Chris Billam-Smith down at cruiserweight. But Riakporhe was so disappointing against Chris Billam-Smith.
Oh, he was.
He didn't let his hands go. He was clueless. He needs to be on his A game. He needs to be on his A game because Okoli looks like he's throwing now, and if he lands, he's going to knock him out. Again, I'm a Richard Riakporhe fan, but he's been disappointed. He's going through stages where he's looked good and he's gone stale and stagnant, and he's looked good again. And he's going. That Chris Billam-Smith one was so disappointing.
Oh, it was. And the thing is, this card, these three fights that are announced on that card could potentially be the stinker of all stinkers if they,
I think we can get 3 knockouts, though, Dave. I do. I think we can get 3 knockouts.
You probably can, but the only thing I'm worried about is that it's where we're sort of like the knockouts sort of overshadow something that's terrible. We think, thank God there was a knockout. It was that bad. I just
polishing the turd, are we?
I don't want to poo-poo it, but there's potential there for them to be 3 stinkers on the same card. Like, I just worry. It does worry me a little bit.
Yeah.
We spoke about this last week, but it's announced now. Anthony Kakachi will face Lee Wood in a super featherweight clash on May 10th in Nottingham. So I can imagine that'll do decent enough numbers. We know why Kakachi's after the money fights now.
Don't blame him.
He's vacated because he was due to fight Sugar Nunes, who's going to now fight for the vacant belt. So yeah, we spoke about it before, where he came out of nowhere. He was used as an opponent and changed his life. So he's got a few fights left, and he's trying to make as much coin as he can. I've got no issues with that, mate. He's world champion in his own right, so no one can ever take that away from him.
Yeah, you're right, mate. You've nailed it. Like I said last week, we've got the IBO bullshit belt. He's got defender, so he kind of the A side. You've got two big fan bases there, well, especially Wood in Nottingham, in his home city. I would have preferred the Nunes fight because I like to see the best versus the best. Sugar Nunes is a fucking boogeyman. He's a danger man, and I understand why he doesn't want to take that fight along with the danger. I'm not saying Kachi's scared of him or anything like that, but it's a tougher fight for less money, even though he's the champion. So he's looking to create generational wealth, for his kids and his kids' kids. He's been on 2 Turkey cards as well. Not only did he fight Joe Cordina to win the title, he defended his belt against Josh Warrington on another Turkey card as well. So, yeah, I haven't got a problem with it. It's going to be a good fight. The tickets will go like hotcakes. Lee Wood, Anthony Kachi, to me, is a much better technical boxer than Lee Wood, but Lee Wood carries one punch power. And does he carry it up at super featherweight now as well, which would be interesting. It is a good fight. I'm not poo-pooing the fight whatsoever. Fair play to both men. But as a boxing fan, the fight I wanted to see was Anto against Sugar Nunes. But it is what it is, and I'll be well locked into this one, mate.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. So my last piece of news for the night, I didn't see this one coming, and I don't know whether you've seen it or not. So I think it was announced today, but here we go. So announced, Josh Taylor has signed with Frank Warren and will face Echo Eserman in a welterweight clash in May in Glasgow, Scotland. Did you see that one today?
Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah, he's moving up to 147 now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Finally,
I think he needed to. Yeah, and he's got a homecoming. I say homecoming. I don't think he's from Glasgow, but he's in Scotland, and nevertheless against Echo Eserman. So that's a decent fight.
Josh Taylor of old would wipe the floor of Echo Eserman. The undisputed Josh Taylor was levels above this, but he's failed to deceive, isn't he? The last few fights. I mean, Teofimo Lopez got up to Josh Taylor, and why shouldn't you? And beat him fair and square. Jack Catterall won, obviously a robbery, and number 2, he was beaten fair and square. So we don't know what place Josh Taylor's in now. Maybe we could see 2.0 at 147. I've always been a Josh Taylor fan, irrelevant of what he says and what he does. He's a credit to the sport for what he's won. He goes unrecognised, because he's Scottish. I don't know, but people say a lot of things about him which are unwarranted. He's had threats in the past because of bad judging scorecard. He gets a lot of bad rap, but I'm still a fan. I've always been on the train, and I wish him the best of luck, and I'll be backing him that night. But if we get the old Josh Taylor back for what it's worth, going to the back end of his career, he should be far too good for Echo Eserman. Far too good. Yeah,
I think this. I'm hoping this weight suits him. He should have moved up a while ago. I think he's been struggling at the weight previous to him, at super light, and let's see if he can kickstart the Josh Taylor 2.0 with a good win. Listen, he's got all the skills. He was undisputed. Again, he didn't get no credit for being undisputed. He really didn't. But yeah, let's see how he kicks on at welterweight. There's some big fights he made there as well. You know what I mean? So this could be the start of something good for Josh Taylor. So hopefully. That is it for tonight's David McDonald and the Dongs.
Thank you, kind sir. Let's jump into the prediction league now. For what it's worth, there wasn't a lot on the weekend, as we've just gone through. So it was 2-1 going into last weekend. I think this weekend is the lowest score for the prediction league me and Dave have ever had. And I'll elaborate now on what the scores were. So we had Derek Chisoras against Otto Wallin. Dave went for the KO in round 10. So he just got a point there because obviously Del Boy won on points. I went for Wallin, so there was absolutely fuck all for me. Shakan Pitters against Lee Inglrest. Now, obviously, this is Shakan Pitters against TBC at the end. But just to be kind, we both went for Shakan Pitters on points, but it was obviously a knockout. So I'll give me and Dave 1 point each there. And obviously Shavkat Rakhimov, nothing there at all because he got absolutely starched. So the scores on the doors from the weekend, brother, was myself 1, yourself 2. Oh. Going into this weekend's action, mate, obviously makes myself on 1 point and yourself on 3 points. Yeah, it's not been great at all. Even the prediction league, mate. It's been
well, there's a few fights this week, mate. So it should be.
It should be. Yeah, it should be, mate. There's a few crackers this weekend. So let's crack into Friday night's action over in Madison Square Garden, New York. It's not the big MSG, it's the theatre, this one. It's Keyshawn Davis versus, well, I should say the champion's name first, shouldn't I? No disrespect. Denys Berinchyk versus Keyshawn Davis for the WBO World Lightweight Championship. We've mentioned on this podcast before, and again, I don't want to be disrespectful, out of the 4 champions at 135, Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson, and Lomachenko, that Denys Berinchyk is the weakest of them champions. Yes, he's the champion, but if you're going to face one of them, I'd want to fight him. Obviously, he beat Navarrete for the vacant title in a close fight. It was close. We were more talking from a Navarrete point of view that he was disappointed, but Denys Berinchyk done probably more than enough to win it. You know, it wasn't the best of fights, but he done enough that night. He's 36 now. He's still unbeaten. He's 19-0. He's a decent fighter. He's a good fighter, but he's coming up against. I'll tell you, he's a favourite of ours, Keyshawn Davis, on this podcast. We've watched enough of his fights. We've waxed lyrical about him. We've been kind of negative at times about his performances, but we saw him last time out against Gustavo Lemos, Dave, and we made our predictions that he would have enough. You know, he's very skillful, fast feet, fast hand, typical Black American in this modern era to get the job done. But he just didn't wow us or shock us. He shocked the boxing planet universe, if you like, because he went in there and he disposed of Gustavo Lemos in 2 rounds, brutally knocking him out and stopping him. Nobody knew he had that sort of knockout power. Nobody saw that coming. So now he's added a string to his bow. You know, he's probably 10, 11, 12 years younger than Denys Berinchyk. He's faster than him. I'm not saying he's more powerful, but going off, what have you done for me lately? And against a level of opponent, yes, Navarrete is a better opponent than Lemos, but obviously Navarrete's jumped up a weight he's not used to. Lemos is a 135 fighter. The question here is, mate, weighing it all up, a world title fight is the first defense for Denys Berinchyk. Will it be his first and final defense of this belt, mate? Will the younger, faster, fresher man in Keyshawn Davis become world champion on Friday night, mate? What are you thinking?
I believe so. I think he was amazing in his last performance. Lemos had come off a defeat, but it was a much better performance with Richards and Hitchens.
Close.
It was very, very close. And then we was expecting Lemos to be the same type of opponent to Keyshawn Davis. And Keyshawn Davis showed something we hadn't seen before. You know, you said it there, like the black slick Americans, you know, plenty of movement, plenty of lateral movement, you know, look very good, eye-catching shots. And he you know, he sat down on his shots in that fight and stopped Lemos in 2 rounds and looked devastating. You know, so he showed something else, shows that he can, you know, he's quite happy to stand there and you know, say trade, but, you know, stand there and you know, and throw shots with some venom, and he can box and look good. So he's shown this, like he's the all-round fighter for me. And but based off that performance, you know, I think it was the right time to get this type of fight. You know, I think he's ready based on that now. You know, you were right. A few performances before, we'd be like, oh, he's unsure, you know.
Switches off sometimes, doesn't he? He has a nature of switching off when he's in front. A bit like we said about Galawia 5, kind of he's coasting, switches off, gets caught with silly shots, and things like that. But he's definitely improved on it. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, he definitely has, and I think it's his time now. I think you know, the shackles are now off, and he's ready to go. I believe obviously that Denys Berinchyk is a better fighter than Lemos. So I think that Keyshawn Davis will have times when he needs to plant his feet and throw shots, but I think he'll also have times where he has to box on the back foot, you know, slip a few shots, and you know, and have different game plans within the fight. I don't. For me, he's not going to walk through Berinchyk the way he did with Lemos and stop him like that. I think it's a fight where he wears him down, you know, and if the stoppage is there, I think he'll take it. But I don't think it'll be early. If that, I'm leaning towards a late stoppage or a points victory for Keyshawn Davis.
Yeah.
I'm going to go points for Keyshawn Davis.
I think you're referring as well to the age as well. The age would be a key factor here. The gas tank, you know, the feet. I think the footwork's going to be key here as well. Keyshawn's got such fast feet. I've always on this podcast, I've always spoke about him, his pivots. I think he's one of the best guys to pivot his feet from left to right in the business, even how young he is. So this is more of a boxing match than a war, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, Keyshawn Davis. I don't think he'd be seeing enough to try and get drawn into slugging it out centre of the ring. But I feel, I feel that, there'll be times where he'll have no choice but to fight fire with fire. But I do think his superior boxing skills. He's a younger, fresher man. I believe that he will box more than fight. Like I say, he walked through Lemos, and with a devastating finish. I think he's going to have to be a little bit more switched on, a little bit more clever against Berinchyk. Because so like I'd say, I do think that the younger, fresher man, that I think that'll play a factor late on. I'm going to go for points, but I do think I wouldn't be surprised if there was a late stoppage.
Yeah, I'm going to go points, mate. Same as you. Same. Yeah, I can see points victory. I think the speed and the age is going to catch up with Berinchyk at the end of the fight. Just quickly on that one, mate, as well, you forgot to mention that he's a top-ranked fighter and he's the home fighter. So are the cards already in?
Or possibly.
I hate saying that.
I know, but they've got form for it.
Yeah, I think it's too. I don't know. I don't believe that, guys. But I think Keyshawn. I think it'll be his night. I really do. But it's going to be. As Dave said there, I can't see him just walking forward and blasting Berinchyk out. He's not that sort of guy. He knows he's in a world title fight. Berinchyk ain't going to have that belt for just one defense. He's going to want to continue to be the A side going forward, and in his fair share of the money, getting the big challenges, the big fights. He's 36 now, just like we spoke about Nathan Heaney and all Derek Chisoras and all these other guys, topping up their pension pots. He's no different. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good fight. But yeah, I'm the same as you, mate. I think Keyshawn will get it done on points.
Yeah.
Co-main undercard, Xander Zayas versus Slauer Spommer. Never heard of the bloke. Obviously not Xander Zayas. I think he's German guy fighting out of Germany probably for the first time in his career. But the focus obviously is on Xander Zayas. I know Dave's a massive fan of Zayas. They've got same records, 20-0. Both. Zayas has got 12 knockouts. Spommer's got 11. But that's literally where it ends. Yeah, in my opinion. Again, I suppose I'm being contradictive because I don't really go and look at these guys' fights. But Xander Zayas is a well-rounded future prospect / contender who's probably nailed on to win multiple worldweight titles. He is that good. He's top-ranked dude, do good things. They're stepping him up slowly, getting in good fights. He's been looking good. He's learning on the job. He's learning he can't just blast everybody out. So he's beating him with boxing skills. The generalship's changed. The IQ looks good. He just looks the perfect fighter. And it's going to be a time when he does step up to face someone of relevance. And I don't think it's this weekend, Dave, and Slauer Spommer.
No, I don't. Padded records springs to mind when it comes to Slauer Spommer. Out in Germany, he can rack up a good few wins, but he's coming into something that he's never experienced before. For me, Xander Zayas is the real deal, and this is just a run of the mill sort of contest. Keep busy, get him out early early Feb, early in the year, get him out 3-4 times a year. I do believe that once he comes through this, I do believe just to maybe step up the opposition, start going in with some names. I think you're coming up to 20 fights now, and I think it needs to be done.
Yeah,
I think you got 20 to learn, 20 to earn. Like I said a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I see him going through the motions here, and absolutely wiping this guy out, Spoomer. I think he's going to go through him. I think Xander Zayas is, again, I just said he's the real deal for me. I don't think he's going to have any issues in this fight, and I think he's going to beat Spoomer in round 3 knockout.
Yeah, there's 10 years difference in these two as well, Dave. So obviously Xander Zayas is the younger guy, and also as well, I've just reading between the lines. I think obviously Xander Zayas' last 2 fights, he's had 2 unanimous decision wins. I think they are points wins, but I'm also thinking Spooner might have been cherry picked to sort of. Not so much the boxing fan, so maybe the casual boxing fan over in the States looking at the resumes, thinking he hasn't got a knockout of recently. Have a look at the records. To a casual fan, it looks pretty even. Both 20-0 with the same sort of knockouts. I think he might have been cherry picked for Zayas to get a knockout on. To people say, "Oh, wow, they were quite well matched, those two." Zayas has gone, "Oh, want to go watch him again. Because they're trying to build him into this Puerto Rican / American superstar that they don't want the casual fan, especially in the States, to switch off from him getting good technical boxing results rather than sparking dudes like he was early in his career. So there might be a bit of business thought gone into that with Top Rank. But yeah, I'm the same, mate. I'm going to go. You went round 3, didn't you? So yeah, I'm going to go 4. I think he's going to take care of him in 4 rounds.
I do think he needs to be let off the leash this year, though.
But, mate, we've said that about all these Top Rank fighters. They're all the same, aren't they? Bob won't let the shackles off.
No.
So yeah, it's only going to be a matter of time. But yeah, me and Dave got the same thinking there. Plus, we're fans of Xander Zayas on this show, and we're also fans of Jared Anderson for what it's worth. He's back out, guys, on the same card since that beatdown from Martin Bakole on that LA card back in August last year. This is America's best prospect now / contender in the heavyweight division. It's absolutely mad when they were the leading way years ago, weren't they, Dave? In the 70s and 80s and 90s, big black American fighters ruling the way, dominating the heavyweight division. Now they've got literally no one. They've got Jared Anderson, they've got Richard Torres Jr., who's obviously another top-ranked fighter that's just clocking up wins, fighting bums, and Bob not putting him in against anybody else. And then it's like, mate, and it's like Nico Ali Walsh is on here as well, but and it's like Charles Martin. It's a real poor show from the Americans in the heavyweight division. But this is the guy, Jared Anderson. He's young enough. He's been beat up, and he's going to rebuild. And I put this on mine and Dave's previews this week, guys, because he's going on against this Greek guy. Never heard of him, Marios Kolassos. I'm not really interested in him. I'm more interested to see what version we'll get of Jared Anderson after that defeat. It was his first defeat, and it was a bad defeat. So I'm more interested how he approaches his fight, Dave, in terms of is he cautious? Is he gun shy? Does he have flashbacks? Will he throw? Will he panic? This is why I'm interested in this fight. I think Jared Anderson is like fucking levels above this guy. I've had a look at his resume. I've gone to have a look at his recent opponents. I've had a little look at him on YouTube. It's a C-level club fighter. Jared Anderson should take care of him, but how does he do it? How does he react after that bad defeat by Big Martin?
I think he needs a couple of confidence builders.
This is one of them.
He was super confident going in against Bakole. I mean, Bakole shares that video every few days, like. So it's well out there that that knockout is always on boxing social medias, but it also shows the press conference before it where Jared Anderson's dancing next to Bakole, like being all. So he was super confident. He's had that knocked out of him now. Yeah. And listen, Jared Anderson as well. He's been he's had some scrapes with the law as he been living the life. That might have been the kick up the arse that he needs, and we will see on Saturday night if that's the case. As a comeback fight, I think the opponent's probably okay for what it is for Jared Anderson to look
good. I've got a problem with it.
To get a viral moment. What he needs though, and listen, I could forgive him for his first fight, but what he needs is someone who's going to go at him and throw punches, because that's when you'll see if he panics or not.
Yeah, agree.
Because it's all well and good going in there. AJ's another example. He had 4 opponents who stood there and he wiped them all out, and then he got someone that went at him and he couldn't cope.
Correct.
So yes, you after it was a bad defeat, so you'll give him this one. I expect him to knock him out, get a viral moment, build some confidence, but he needs to get opponents that are going to fire at him. And that's when you'll really find out the Jared Anderson that we've got. You won't see it in this fight though. For me, Jared Anderson is going to go in there super confident, and he's going to feel him out in the first round and knock him out in the second round.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. Be honest, Dave. He's all America have got at the moment.
Yeah.
So
well, Charles Martin's, he's making big talk against Moses Atuma. What happens when he hits Moses Atuma? Yeah.
The good thing about Martin. Yeah, I was going to say the good thing about Jared Anderson though, he's still only 25, so he's got at least another good 10 years ahead of him. His career's not over.
No. And like I'm saying, we say this on this show as well, with Turkey coming in it as well. 1 feet doesn't define you. That was for the experience of Jared Anderson. It was a risk going in with Martin Bakole. It turned out to be a massive risk, as you could tell. But no one else was putting their hand up to fight Bakole, and they still ain't. So fair play to fucking Jared Anderson for going in there. And listen,
he tried as well. He didn't just fucking tuck up and try and survive when he got hit. He fucking tried. He rolled the dice.
And listen, and he got up. He got up and he tried to fight back.
Tough kid.
He showed a lot of heart, mate. He can take a lot from that. Like I say, no one's putting around up to fight Bakoli. Bakoli's having trouble getting Manchis to fight him. So and getting fucking eliminators. Yeah, so listen, he dared to be. He dared. I would say dared to be great, but he didn't have to take that fight, and he did. So yeah, I'm expecting him to wipe this geezer out in 2 rounds. Round 2 knockout.
Yeah, I'll give the Greco a couple more rounds. I'll go round 4. Just purely on base. I don't know what version we're going to get of Jared Anderson. Hopefully it's pre-Martin Bakoli, because as I said, we are fans of him on here. And also fans of Abdullah Mason. Love this kid. Future lightweight champion. Said out there many a times. 16-0 now, 14 KOs, only 20 years of age. Last time we saw him, Dave, he was chin checked. He was put down twice in the first round. Couldn't believe our eyes. Got up, second round, blast his opponent away. Don't piss that kid off, even at 20 years old, because he's a nasty little bastard, and he proves it every time he gets in that ring. This fight on Friday, interesting fight, Dave. Manuel James. Now, we spoke about Manuel James in the past. We've seen him in the past in against Rolly Marrero. Our thoughts on Rolly. He's an ex-world champion, but I've always said I don't think he's a great world champion. But he went the distance with Rolly, and now he's going in an 8-rounder with Abdullah Mason. Mason's never been past 6 rounds. If he gets rid of James in the distance, Dave, and he does it in style, and he makes a bit of a statement here, it's not going to be long. Well, he's with Top Rank, so it will be a long time. But my point is he ready? Is he ready for another step up? Is he ready for Rolly? That's basically what I'm saying. Get rid of the opponent Rolly couldn't get rid of. Do it in style. I mean, this kid's never been stopped either. He's a tough guy. He won his rounds against Rolly, didn't he? He was he put in a decent performance. I think going back, I think maybe me and you saying, he had opportunities to put, to not so much roll the dice, but he had opportunities to put it on Rolly Marrero. He kind of stepped off and admired his work sometimes and could have done a bit better, but he's never been stopped. He's going in against Abdullah Mason, super high on this kid, and I'm going to go in straight away. I think the statement will be made, and then it's not going to go past 6 rounds. I think Abdullah Mason will be asked a couple of questions early on, and he's going to do what he does. I just think he's going to do this throughout his career. I think he's going to go, fuck it. You're not getting the better of me. You're not landing on me like that. Who do you think you are? Because he's a nice kid, but he's got attitude when he's in the ring. And I think he stops him in 5. Statement made. Give me Rolly next.
To be fair, I say we were a little bit critical of matchmaking with Bob Arum and Top Rank at times, but I think this is probably a good opponent at a good time. We've been critical before, but listen, he's a decent enough opponent. He's been in with Rolly Marrero. And I quite like this fight. I think it's the right time for it.
It's the only risky one. Sorry, Dave. It's the only risky fight he's put on here. I keep saying Bob. He's not doing the matchmaking anymore, is he? He's like the mafia boss. But he's doing what he's doing in his chair, falling a kip at 98 years of age. I can't remember. Is it Tom Lofia? I can't remember who's the guy that does all the ESPN match. Anyway, it's irrelevant. Top Rank. This is more riskier fight of the weekend for them, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
With any kind of jeopardy, if you like, It
is, and like I say, this feels to me like a step up in opponent. We're looking at the other guys we've spoken to down on the cards and stuff today. This feels to me like this is a step up in opponent for Abdullah Mason. So I like this. I'm high like you. I'm high on Abdullah Mason. I think he's a future world champion without a shadow of a doubt.
So
I think they're moving him. They're moving him in the right direction here. I think the statement's to be made here. Again, James has never been stopped, but I do believe the first person to stop him will be Abdullah Mason. The only thing is, listen, like you said, he got chin checked in his last fight. He's got to be careful. Twice. He's got to be careful. Doesn't need to take anything silly. So I want to see him come in here and have a measured performance. We know what he can do. But I don't want him to get caught with silly shots. And there were 2 flash knockdowns. I don't think he needs to take shots like that. He's a young lad at 20 years old, and like I say, he doesn't take punches unnecessarily for me. So I think he comes in with a bit more measured performance, but I think it's going to be a devastating performance. You saying it won't go past 6, I think it will go to 6. So I'm going to go for knockout round 6 for Abdullah Mason.
Yeah. Yeah, you go back to this last fight. You're right, mate. Maybe this time, try and download first a little bit of data before you go rushing in and leaving yourself open and exposed. So that's why you got caught. Yeah, definitely. Abdullah Mason, mate, to get the stoppage. on Friday night. So that's over in the States on Friday night, guys. That's available for us here in the UK on Sky Sports Action. And Saturday night, we're back in the UK. We're back to the Co-op to watch Jack Catterall versus Arnold Barboza Jr. I'm not even going to go down the route of what it's for. I've done all my talking on this podcast about interim belts and eliminators and all that kind of crap. Dave can if he wants, but I'm just going to crack straight into the fight. You know my feelings. He won't get a title shot after this. Irrelevant if he wins, and I do believe Jack Catterall will win. Jack Catterall's a world-class fighter. He's a hard night's work for anybody. Arnold Barboza Jr., Dave, he's also a very good fighter. He's unbeaten in his career so far. Yes, we all know you were backing Sean McComb. He lost to Sean McComb. Sean McComb was robbed. He went on to fight Ramirez in Saudi last year, putting a great performance against an aging Jose. It's not the same Ramirez that fought Josh Taylor, but it's still, he's still a good operator. But to me, Jack Catterall for me is a level above Barboza Jr. And I don't think Jack Catterall gets a stoppage here, Dave, but I do believe Arnold Barboza Jr. will take too long to download Jack Catterall, to work Jack Catterall out. And by the time he does work him out, it's going to be too late. Jack Catterall will be so far up on the cards. Arnold Barboza will probably win the championship rounds, but it's be so far down on the cards. Jack Catterall picks up yet another unanimous decision win, and then he'll go on to fight for another eliminator. Thoughts?
I totally agree. I think that that Jack Catterall he's very good at what he does. He is very good at what he does. He's a counter puncher, and he waits, and he's quite happy to wait.
He's hard to hit, isn't he? He's quite hard to hit. You've got to get inside to hit him.
Yeah, but he's quite happy. He doesn't rush anything. He's quite happy to wait and let his opponent make a move. So you can see a lot of jostling like this for a long time with Jack Catterall. Then bang, a shot will come up.
He's accurate as well, isn't he?
An eye-catching shot.
Yeah, it's very accurate.
Yeah. So Arnold Barboza Jr. is going to have to work very hard. He's going to have to try and get in on the inside and draw Jack Catterall into a fight. Do I think that he does that early on? I'm with you. I think that he will be down on the cards in the first half of the fight, and we'll have to change game plan and roll the dice. And in that, he will win rounds, but he'll also play into Jack Catterall's cards, play into his hand to the point where Jack Catterall wants him to come onto him. And when he does that, he's going to walk onto shots.
Yeah, you're right.
So I believe, I'm with you. I believe Jack Catterall's going to win. But I believe he's going to be on points. I don't see a stoppage here. I think Arnold Barboza Jr. is going to have his moments. I'm with you. I think he's going to take too long to realise what he needs to do to win the fight. And I think that Jack Catterall will pick off the first few rounds on single shots. And then I believe that Arnold Barboza Jr. will need to roll the dice. I believe that he'll be told by his corner that he needs to go for it. And in doing that, I think he will have elements of success. But again, he could walk onto one.
It'd be interesting as well, wouldn't it? Obviously, an American fighter fighting in the UK, they'll probably tell him to roll the dice on round one. You're already screwed on the cards. So,
yeah, exactly.
We're not the best at judging here. But yeah, I'm in the same camp as you, mate. It'd be interesting as well, Dave, with this, because Jack Catterall likes to draw his opponents on. But so does Barboza. If you look at the Ramirez fight, he drew Ramirez onto the ropes and, catch and countered and move. Hit and move, come onto the ropes, hit and move. Remember, Ramirez was following around the ring for the whole night. Just he couldn't work out how to outbox or how to land on Barboza.
Yeah.
We said Barboza was 100 times better than he was against Sean McComb. He kind of learned his lesson and got away with one. Yeah. So it'd be interesting. This could be a stinker as well, If they both want each other to draw each other in, you may not see them both in the centre of the ring having I don't expect a war anyway, a slugfest, but it could be an absolute stinker, this. I don't think on paper it looks a good fight. Hopefully for the paying fans it's going to be a good fight. But their styles as well could cancel each other out. But again, exactly the same as you, mate. I think Jack Catterall's I reckon he's a level above. And I think it will just take him too long to work out Barboza. Don't let the Barboza resume fool you. There's been performances in there that he's looked shit. We just give it there, the Sean McComb one. So, yeah, good luck to both men. I haven't got a dog in the fight, but to stop repeating myself, Jack Catterall points unanimous, mate.
Yeah, me too.
Lastly on the card, there's some good fights on this card. I asked Dave earlier to pick one because we're doing 6 for the weekend. You've got Zelfa Barrett in against Jazza Dickens as well. That's a decent fight. But I'm glad Dave's gone for Reece Bellotti against Michael Gomez Jr. because there's a bit of history here. So I just mentioned Zelfa Barrett against Jazza Dickens. Zelfa Barrett's come off that brilliant win against Jordan Gill, and Jazza Dickens is coming to the end of his career. So I'd probably edge for Zelfa there. And you've got Pat McCormack against Robbie Davis Jr. Robbie Davis is on a kind of a rebuild. We last saw him against Lipinets and things like that. So that'd be a half decent fight as well. But this is a good one because this is for the British and Commonwealth super featherweight titles. We were supposed to see this last year. I think me and Dave, we previewed this one, didn't we? But unfortunately, we did, didn't we? Before, I can't remember what card it was on, but unfortunately, it was called off a couple of hours before they were supposed to get into the ring because all of a sudden, Michael Gomez Jr. Was ill for some unknown reason. Yeah, go on, mate. Go on, take over.
It was a kidney infection, wasn't it?
Kidney infection.
And then Reece Bellotti came out to talk to Tony Bellew and
Adi Oladipo, wasn't it?
Yeah, Oladipo, yeah, and spoke from the heart, and that was probably more entertaining much so than some of the fights that night. He come out there, he was effing and blinding, really upset, and that's why that helped me pick this fight today. When you said to pick a fight, I thought this one because there's a bit of history there with the pull out and stuff like that. You're calling him a ducker and the pull out, and they never do that and all that sort of stuff. So it's brewed, it's marinated this fight very nicely. We did predict this last time, and I predicted a Michael Gomez Jr. win.
That's only because he follows you, isn't it?
He follows me on Twitter, so we're mates. But
I didn't think there was any loyalty in boxing, man, but it definitely is on this podcast.
Yeah. But no, I think this is going to be a real barnstorm with this. I think this is now there's a bit of needle there as well.
Yeah.
Reece Bellotti said a few things, and
well, it's for the British and the 2 featherweights who like to throw. So
yeah, I think it's going to be this could be fight of the night. I really, really do.
We said that last time, didn't we?
We did, and I believe it again. I think these two are going to go at each other from the first bell, and really, really, try and do some damage. And I think it's going to make for a classic British title fight. And and I'm sure I predicted a Michael Gomez stoppage. So I'm going to stick to that. I think Michael Gomez is going to stop him in round 8.
Yeah. I'm obviously going to go I'm going to go the other way. Reece Bellotti, 2018 to 2021, won 2 out of 7 fights. Thinking about jacking it in. Went on the rebuild, won 5 on the spin, won the belts in the form of his life at the age of 34. So this is his Indian summer. Michael Gomez Jr. is or was the English champion. We put the English champion against the British champion. It's only going to go one way. It's going to be fireworks. There's going to be knockdowns, and I think there's going to be a stoppage. But I'm going for a Reece Bellotti stoppage. I'm going for Reece Bellotti to stop Michael Gomez Jr. in what round did you say?
I said round 8.
Round 8. I'm going the other way, round 8 as well. And I do believe it might be the fight of the night. As I said, there's a narrative there. Now there's beef there. So
I think there's going to be moments there where boxing goes out the window and it's pure blood and guts, mate. And it's just I think it's just going to be a classic. I could just see it being a classic.
It's old man was in a few good fights, wasn't he, over the years?
Oh, not many.
Michael Gomez Senior.
The Manchester Mexican, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. I always remember his fight against Alex Arthur when he was a heavy underdog.
And mate, that was an amazing fight, that was.
He beat up the Scotsman, yeah.
Oh, he did. He was the underdog in that fight as well.
Yeah.
That was a brilliant fight, that was.
So, yeah, there are 6 fights for the preview this week, guys. Looking forward to that boxing coming up. That's on DAZN, by the way. So you've got a bit of boxing on DAZN, you've got a bit of boxing on Sky Sports. So, last segment of the show, 1 hour, 33 minutes. The winners' weekly wager. We just done the prediction league results. Great scores there, 2-1 today. But obviously, Dave did get the win. So for another week, Mr. Holland does pick this week's banker. So for the winners' weekly wager, mate, 6 fights there. You've had your say, you've had your predictions.
Yeah.
Where's the money going on this week, brother?
My banker of the week is going to go to Mr. Jared Anderson. I believe that he takes this German fella to school. Sorry, not German. Callias, the Greek fella. I think he's gonna knock him out. I said round 2. I'm going to stick with that. So for my winners weekly wager, we'll go to Mr. Jared Anderson.
Yeah, good choice, mate. Good choice. There was £14 in the pot. See, Dave went for Shakan Pitters last week in his weekly wages. Well, we both did because we had a draw. We both went for Shakan last week. Obviously, it was ended up being against TBC, his opponent. But because we don't rob from charity, Shakan got the KO. We went for points. So we'll turn our points into pounds, which makes £2. Leaving the pot this week, going into this weekend's action, is £16 for the charity of your choice. So it's slowly adding up, Dave. £16 better than nothing. And I think we could have a full house this weekend as well. It's a good choice.
Yeah, and hopefully I haven't predicted one bang on yet. So that'd be nice for the charity when we do.
Yeah, be nice for the charity, definitely, mate.
We're
So
a bit unlucky with technical draws and things like that, which we've never had before.
Opponents pulling out, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hope nobody pulls out this weekend, mate. Well, not boxers anyway. Talking of weekends, mate. Any plans, mate? Any plans, brother?
I've got Arsenal Tottenham women. Yeah, Arsenal Tottenham winning on Sunday. So at the Emirates. So it'll be the first time I'm an Arsenal fan for 30 odd years. Never been to Arsenal Tottenham. So it'll be Arsenal Tottenham women's. This is my first experience of the hatred. So yeah, we got that at the Emirates, mate. 12:30 kickoff on Sunday. So I won't be doing much other than that, mate. I think I'm going to stay off the sauce this weekend.
There's no such thing as dry February.
I know. Well, I say I might. I probably won't.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, is it? It's definitely not going to happen, mate. Just quickly on now, you said that about Arsenal women and Tottenham women. Did you see? It's obviously a boxing podcast, but we give our reasons why. We'll go and watch women's football for our daughters and things like that. Did you see Alan Brazil's rant on TalkSport during the week on women's? What did you make of that? I thought he got a lot of praise from people. I kind of find it a bit. To say nobody cares is a bit harsh, and he's got, and obviously the Scottish, I can't remember her name, Siobhan. I can't remember the Scottish woman that does the football. So about your granddaughter plays football. You go and watch her. So would you kind of say that to her? She's growing up because Lola likes women's football. My daughter likes women's football. Then to go and watch it and say, well, do you know what? Nobody actually cares about this, so don't talk about it. I find it a bit hard. I can understand what he's saying. He's talking from a very dinosaur, manly, old-fashioned point of view. But yeah, I don't know. What did you make of that, mate? Now you're taking your daughter.
Yeah, no, I agree and disagree, and I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't saying, he got drawn into saying, oh, no one cares about the women's, but it was the revamp and the regeneration of Man United is evidently the men. And that's what the sort of point he was trying to get at. And then obviously, so, and he was correct in that, when everyone talks about the rebuild of Man United, they're not talking about the women's. Yeah. So it was a difficult one because I could sort of see what he was getting at, but for me, he went around it the wrong way.
Yeah, it came across.
The woman was sort of drawing him into it as well because it sells when there's a bit of controversy there, and I was on the fence here, but I can agree with both parties. Well, I like the women's football just like everyone else. Like well, I say everyone else, but we do. No,
you're right.
There is a place for it, and what he was trying to say is that the rebuild of Man United, they're not talking about the women, and they're not. They ain't. The women are part of the journey, but they're not the focus. And I think that's what he was sort of getting at.
And you're right. You are right, mate. Yeah, you've nailed it there. But let's be totally honest, as a caveat on top, unless you're a Man United fan, none of us give a fuck, do we, about Man United? No. Let's be perfectly honest. Who gives a shit?
I'm actually quite happy they are where they are.
I thought you might be, yeah.
You only have got to listen to our last podcast, mate, the Phoenix 5 show, to show you what I think of Man United and their players and their fans. So, But listen, it's controversy sells because that moment went viral, and it's great for his station and all that. So it's one of them.
It's one of them. Yeah. And it's one of them for us, mate. We've done 1 hour and 38 minutes on a Monday. You've still got your work uniform on. I'm going to open a bottle of wine, I think, get into bed, see I might put Only Fools and Horses on to cheer myself up, I think. After a depressing review from boxing. But no, I fucking love it. I love our hour.
Yeah.
Hour and a bit on a Monday talking about boxing. And I'm looking forward to the weekend's fights. I really am. Which one are you most looking forward to be honest? I'm looking forward to Abdullah Mason,
I'm really looking forward to the Reece Bellotti, Michael Gomez fight, man. It'll be fucking fireworks, man. Yeah. I think that is going to be absolute fireworks. Yeah, that for me, like, I think that could be one we're waxing lyrical about next Monday. I really do.
Yeah. Let's hope nobody gets sick then, eh?
Oh man,
We could start with that one, couldn't we?
Oh, fucking hell. Yeah. If Michael Gomez pulled out again, I think Reece Bellotti would have kittens live on air.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Maybe
that
he might say something.
That was a brilliant rant. That was.
That's because it was from the heart, wasn't it?
It was. You know, and rightly so as well. Listen, people will get ill, you know, but he was like, listen, I've done a 12-week camp here. Like, how you coming on fight night and pulling out? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was the doctor that pulled him out. So it's one of them.
Yeah. That's the end of episode 99, Dave. 99 we've done now. Next week is going to be 100. So that's pretty good for us. You know?
That's a good, yeah. It is a good feat, mate. You know, we've been sticking at it. Consistency's key, mate.
Yeah. Let's hope we make it to 100 anyway. I think we will. I can't leave it alone. I love me boxing. I know you do too. And I know all you fans do as well. So, you know, the usual T's and C's. Tell it at the start. Like, share and subscribe. Even if you didn't like the content, still like, share and subscribe. You know, it helps us get up in the rankings. It helps other people find us. A bit of hashtagging here. Reviews as well on Apple. Please give us a 5-star review or any type of review. We just want to grow like all our brothers in the boxing community. Thank you, please. Will you scratch our back and we'll scratch yours. So until next week, have a great week. Stay safe and enjoy the bloody boxing, as I always say. Davey boy, have a good one, mate. And I'll speak to you next week, brother. Take care.
Take care, mate. Have a good one.
And you.